Have a good night. I hope you get a nice rest, and hope your project continues very well. I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out. I think. I hope. Maybe. Is there any sort of radio on this freaking train?
No radio.
What?
Are not connecting.
How am I supposed to use the radio then?
If there is a link, I think I know what it used to say. The letters seem to match. That's got nothing. No. Not what is it? No. Must be the name of the stop.
Am I gonna find him just like somewhere now in the desert? What a strange game.
Just goes on and on. Whatever I'm after, it's not out there. Whatever I'm after, it's not out there. It's not. Whatever I'm after, it's not out there. That feels wrong. Sculpted by erosion. Doesn't tell me who they are. Something about this specific formation.
101.
Truly resembles the three numbers. This is how I make it to the oasis. Green crater in the heart of the desert. Its gravity. It pulls me. Imposing. Unusual ring pattern. What are you? She asks. I tell her I'm a reporter. A dog chasing her tail, she says. What's a reporter without news? I'm not sure. We shouldn't talk anymore, she says. One of many confusing conversations here. My interlocutor can volunteer information. My information doesn't quite reach them. We shouldn't talk. We shouldn't talk anymore, she... I don't see the... We shouldn't talk.
Damn it.
Sturdy, ancient structure. The wooden guardrails have a glossy sheen, polished by 1,000 palms. I can cross it. I'm stretching, he says. So I see. The secret is to extend past your standard range of motion. There is a binary between mind and body, other and self, matter and form, sacred and profane, imaginary and real, chaos and cosmos. He goes on. The man can talk, but not listen, apparently. Chaos and cosmos, other and imagine, matter and sacred. He goes on. The man can, but not listen. Chaos and other and imagine, matter and sacred. He goes on. The man can, but not. More a bush than a tree. Its berries have a briny, fishy aroma. Calm, calming. He asks, why is it so hard to get a straight answer these days? It's all disjointed here. I tell him I've just arrived. I can't trust anyone, he says, moping. Those trees by the river, they weren't there yesterday. Reporter's hunch. Some of these folks aren't worth my time. Thought they were apples at first. But there's a smoky, acrid fragrance, like an old train station or forest fire.
Do you know about the
I can't
crying
trust
boy?
anyone, he says, moping.
Okay.
Eccentric posture, stroking petals as if coaxing an alley cat. Her patience only extends to the flowers. She shushes me with full force. They won't blossom before the moon, she says. She doesn't want me near. Says I prevent the flowers from blooming. I've been accused of worse crimes. Poppy-shaped, yellow. Rancid smell, like a smoker's lips or fingertips. The rocking of an addict outside the clinic. I don't recognize the melody she's humming. I ask if she's okay. She shoos me away. You're making me forget the tune, she says. You're making me forget the tune, she says. Elder giant. Disheveled, begging for attention. In the city, he'd be feeding pigeons. He inquires first. What happens when you place a mirror in front of another mirror? I don't know. Some kind of infinity. You have two mirrors, he says. The thought tickles him. He giggles. Don't know why I expected wisdom. Maybe it's the tree. He giggles. Filled with rotting fruit. Stacked head high, pyramid-like. Why?
What is going on in this place?
Leaning like he's lost his balance. I know that stance. I was a real butcher, he laments. A proper rat, apex creature. He burps and retches. I'd gut your office, he says. I'd strip the premises. Even sniffed out a font that saved money on ink. Puzzling train of thought. Non sequiturs. Irrelevant answers. I notice a pattern. Enjoying the fumes a bit too much. Potpourri of dehydrated petals, fruit, bark, public transport body odor. Various stages of rot. Strong fermented smell.
So, are they making alcohol, or
Catching the light, lizard-like.
using it to get just
I
high?
signal to her. She can't hear me.
How are these people surviving out here?
Couldn't outlast the elements. That's as far as I go. A headless builder brandishing a trowel. The plinth has been defaced. What remains are three letters. S-O-N. Why?
Son?
If there is a link. Anonymous figure. Clutching scrolls or blueprints of some kind. I recognize a vial. The rest fell apart. Sanitary clothing, surgical mask, skull cap. The eyes are remarkably lifelike. Another vandalized inscription. I can make out the last three letters. E-O-N. Muscular kneeling man. Untitled artwork. This one's a lonely limb. No markings on the plinth. So peaceful here. Snake-head machine. Clinical imaging device. Repurposed to produce sounds. Selection of percussion musical devices. Majestic, pensive. Observes the rippling mountains in the distance. Remember the tower, she asks. 50 pods per floor, she says. Maximum occupancy. The fire escape was a monstrous spiral staircase. But then what? She's lost in her reverie. Won't say anything else. She's lost in her... Won't say... She's lost in her... Won't say anything. I don't know how. That's not how it works.
What? That was completely unhelpful.
Deep in thoughts, unclothed. 2 fingers on his left wrist. He's monitoring his pulse. Health concerns? He presents his artery as evidence. I anticipate an anomaly in the data, he says. Stiffness in the hinges. Fever to cook the mind. This heart never stutters. He sounds almost let down. The only unknown, he says, is your influence. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Correct, he says. None of us should be here. He asks to be left alone. Even healers need healing, he says. Is she following me? What are you? She asks. Still a reporter. You're right, she says. People don't change. Not sure I agree. Look who's talking, she says. We shouldn't talk. Flour and greyish paste. Finely ground. Speckled with ashes. This one's for baking. Full of ashes and charred crust. Clay pots. Frothy liquids and powders. both rock hard and breaking down. Not bathing as much as caressing the surface. How's the water? If you float long enough, she says, the body mistakes gravity for motion. Sounds risky. To incubate means to lie down, she says. You should try it. Another sock puppet spewing out nonsense. Grotesque carvings, distorted features. Miniature versions of the cabin I'm standing in. They're identical, even in their defects. Wooden, rustic. They vary in shape and size, but not much. Not in use. Propped against the wall, doesn't lead anywhere. Hand-stained timber. Red-eyed. Hands and face blackened by coal or ash. Is she okay? Can I help? I'm sorry, she says, like a child who disappointed her parents. What for? I don't remember, she sobs. Someone around here asked about Leo Dormer. Does she know him? It's possible, she says without much conviction. I don't feel great about pressing her, but this is crucial. It backfires. She breaks down. I'm going under soon, she says, and I can't remember my own name. I can't remember my craft. I can't even remember what I look like anymore. She's the best lead I have so far. I must jolt her memory. Already asked. She thinks. Is she safe here? Anyone to speak to? She shrugs. I have no idea. What does she mean by craft? She answers with another question. Why did they have to make the words so ugly, she asks. I'm unsure what she means. They replaced my instructions, so I had to burn them, she explains.
What?
That's why I don't remember, she says. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. Where did she burn them? Why? Why, she asks back. Why did they make the words so ugly? The topic confuses and upsets her. Goes nowhere. I describe her features. Slender frame, shoulder-length hair. No, she protests. That's all wrong. Any pointers? Initials? Nothing. Already asked. She thinks she's heard the name before. Okay, I should take it easy on her. Ancient furnace. Hasn't been fired in a long time. Relentless and precise. Can't tell if he's fixing or destroying it. I know you, he says. Used to read all your articles. Sounds more like scorn than flattery. Under his breath, he calls me a traitor. Did I hear him right? You either live your culture or destroy it, he says. There is no in-between. Relentless, something menacing. I don't feel particular. It's been hollowed out. Or hasn't been filled.
I see. There was another way. Okay.
Manual weaving machine. Pedal powered. Turns fibers into thread. Fine selection of garments, yet so few choose to wear them. Fireless. Fine selection of garments.
That's it. Time to continue going backwards.
Full
Millstone.
grinding grain. It's to pound vegetation into pulp. Full of water, floating fibers. Freshly made, drying in the breeze. Freshly made, sun-dried. Jet black. Ground, charred tree bark. Tracing symbols. The focus of a scholar whose eyes were trained on fine print. Her work. I can't tell if it's an alphabet. Mathematics? No, it's bigger than that, she stammers. Where could I find written instructions? Her ears prick up at the mention. If you do find them, bring them over, she says. I must check all writing for consistency. The girl. She needs help remembering things. I'm trying to, she says, pointing at her work. I want to sympathize or at least understand, but I fail to see how she's helping. Language is a material, she says. Yet we build with clay that's as brittle as boiled bones. Pinches the bridge of her nose in frustration. Or is it bird bones? She's lost me. It's hard to convey, she admits. She claims she's helping. I don't understand how, and I'm not convinced. She claims she's helping. I don't understand, and I'm not convinced. I mention Leo. She exhales. History, she begins. The thing with people. The complexity of the answer overwhelms her, like she's failing to be exact with her wording. Wrestling with ungraspable concepts. Still, no clues about my brother. What can she tell me about Phoenix Springs? She launches into and aborts multiple metaphors. It's hard to follow. Something about the taxonomy of chemicals. I realize she's talking about the name, not the place.